Mama?
Story of the film begins with a family is on vacation in the Caribbean Sea, celebrating Ben's 13th birthday on their boat. Tom, an oceanographer, is with his wife Julia and their 2 kids, Casey and Ben. While everyone enjoys the day, Julia decides to go for a swim. She suddenly feels something strange in the water. Meanwhile, Tom doesn't realize that the boat's equipment is malfunctioning. The water around Julia begins to shift, pulling her away from the boat. She screams for her family, but the boat has drifted too far. Fortunately, Tom notices Julia is missing and sees her in distress. He quickly turns the boat around and jumps into the water to rescue her. Tom saves Julia from drowning, and their children pull him back onto the boat. Julia is safe, but Tom is angry. He had told everyone to inform the family before jumping in. Julia apologizes, and to keep the celebration going, they choose to forget the incident. They remain unaware of the water's strange behavior and the boat's malfunctioning equipment. As evening arrives, the family decorates the boat for Ben's birthday. They take photos together and give him gifts. Later, Casey receives a video call from her boyfriend. She tells him about their fun on the boat, but he warns them that they should return to the surface quickly. Suddenly, massive storms start brewing all around. He informs them that TV news reports similar storms are happening worldwide. She tries to ask her boyfriend for more information, but before she can, the connection drops. Panicking, she runs to tell her family of the massive storms appearing worldwide. Just then, they hear a loud crash. Looking outside, they see many whales gathered around their boat, which shouldn't be in that area at all. This strange sight signals that something unusual is happening. The constant collisions have damaged the boat's engine, so Tom dives into the water to inspect it. When he surfaces, everyone notices a large cut on his shoulder. Julia quickly stitches him up. Tom explains that the engine is damaged from a whale collision and they can't fix it right now. They might be stuck in the middle of the ocean, no way to call for help. Casey tries to make a phone call again, but there's no signal and the radio is dead too. The family is shocked by the sudden loss of communication. After some calculation, Tom informs them they have only 4 days worth food and water. Since they are in a shipping route, they hope passing ships will spot them soon. However, they remain unaware of what is happening in the outside world. As they discuss their situation, loud noises suddenly fill the air. They look outside and see objects crashing down from the sky. There are so many that despite their damaged engine, Tom tries to steer the boat to avoid the falling debris. They manage to dodge the last object, but the engine is now completely broken and beyond repair. Tom realizes the falling objects are satellites, which explains why their phones and radio aren't working. How they fell so suddenly remains a mystery. At that moment, a strong storm hits the ocean, shaking the boat violently. Tom quickly gathers his family on the upper deck and gives them life jackets, hoping they won't drown if the boat capsizes. They notice a strange shift in gravity, causing blood to trickle from their noses. Somehow, they survive the stormy night. In the morning, they wake up to find their boat damaged on all sides. When they exit, they are shocked to see no water beneath their boat. It seems they are in the middle of a desert, but soon they realize they're still at sea. The ocean water has simply shifted elsewhere. This means there is likely no life left in the outside world, with 70% of the Earth's surface covered in water. If that water has moved onto the remaining 30%, survival is impossible. Tom notices their compass isn't working, indicating that the Earth's poles have shifted. Everyone is terrified, realizing that their friends and family are likely gone. Casey, heartbroken, retreats to her room, grieving for her boyfriend. No one knows what to do, so the younger brother releases the birthday balloons from the night before, hoping they will lead any other survivors to them. They understand that no one is left on land, but there may be other boats at sea that survived. Tom starts sending radio signals to nearby boats and unexpectedly connects with a small submarine. Inside, a man named Neto explains that he was deep underwater with his friends when the disaster struck, and now he is the only one left alive. They discuss their next steps, worried that no one else may survive to help them. Nato tells Tom that the shifted ocean water will return to its original position in about a week. He believes he can survive in the submarine, but Tom needs to reach higher ground quickly before the water returns. Tom asks Nato if his family can board the submarine since Nato's companions are gone. However, Nato explains that his submarine is small and can only hold 3 people at most. Tom plans to bring his 2 children to the submarine submarine while he and Julia search for higher ground. In exchange for their safety, he offers all of their food to Nato. Nato agrees and provides Tom with his location on a map. Tom tells Julia they need to pack all their food and water quickly and head to the submarine, which will take at least 2 days to reach. They plan to leave their children there while they search for safety. They might not survive, but at least their kids will be safe. Just as they finish packing and prepare to leave, Tom sees an injured man approaching them with a dog. Feeling pity, he offers the man a bottle of water. But after drinking it, the man suddenly attacks Tom. Julia rushes to help her husband, but the man pulls out a spear and fatally stabs Tom. Julia screams in horror, realizing her husband was trying to help a survivor, only to be killed brutally. Julia realizes that the man will try to steal their food and water. She rushes back to the boat and tells her children to hide because he is coming. Julia locks the cabin and instructs them to hide in small boxes. She gives them a flare gun for protection before stepping outside to confront the man. The man starts breaking down the cabin door, searching for food as he enters the boat. Julia waits above with a knife ready to attack, but the noise alerts him. He sees her, and she quickly hides below deck. Meanwhile, his dog lunges at her. When the man hears his dog bark and comes outside, he discovers that Julia has killed the dog and fled. He is unaware that the children are still on the boat. Julia sneaks back to attack him from behind, but he confronts her directly, demanding to know what valuables they have. The children, hidden in the box, overhear everything. Knowing the man will kill their mother, Casey gathers her courage, opens the box, and fires the flare gun at him, injuring him and starting a fire on the boat. Julia urgently tells her children to escape while she grabs the food bag from the man. She kicks him and manages to take the bag with her. Outside, the children see their father Tom and cry for him. Julia tries to comfort them, but when she sees the man escaping the burning boat, she quickly leads her children toward NATO's submarine, which they located via radio. After walking for a while, they find shelter near a rock with flowing water, but it's not safe to drink. Ben feels sad because he released the balloons to attract attention, but the man came and killed his father. He thinks it's his fault. Julia reassures her children that it's not their fault and that they need to focus on surviving first. They can think about everything else later. Their map was burned in the fire, making it hard to find their way to the submarine, which would take a lot longer. Julia notices from a rock that the man is still following them for their food. They keep moving forward, even though they're exhausted after hours of walking. The ocean surface is uneven, but they push on. Along the way, they discover the wreckage of an old plane, revealed for the first time because of the receding water. Julia decides to spend the night there, overwhelmed by everything that has happened in just one day. She looks at the last family photo they took, where they all seemed so happy together. The children miss their father, Tom, but their main goal is to reach the submarine for safety. That night, Casey wakes up to a noise outside and goes to investigate. Suddenly, the man attacks her from behind. However, Casey had gone out to lure him away from her family. Julia jumps in from behind and stabs the man with a knife, saving them from great danger. The next morning, they find that the man's body is gone. This means some sea creatures are still roaming around, which is dangerous. They continue their journey, but they are getting weaker from a lack of water. Ben tries to drink some bad water they find, but Julia quickly stops him, warning that it will make him sick. They walk all day, and as evening falls, they gather debris to make a shelter for the night. While they sleep, Julia hears a noise outside. She looks out to see many crabs. To escape them, she wakes her children, and they run away from the area. Not far ahead, they see a large ship filled with crashed containers. Julia spots many logs hidden inside the containers and decides to take her children there to avoid the crabs. But when they see the crabs approaching, they quickly shut the container doors. When Julia and the kids call for help but get no answer, they climb on top of the containers to save themselves. During the chaos, one of the crabs bites Julia's leg. From above, they see that many crabs have entered the containers and killed all the survivors inside despite their attempts to fight back. Julia and the children hear the screams of the people inside, and Julia eventually faints after wrapping her wound with a scarf. The next morning, Julia wakes up and can't see her children anywhere. Luckily, there are no crabs around. Her children return and explain they were looking for food after the crabs left. Julia first treats her wound, and the kids gather weapons for protection if the crabs return. They also find some food and water, which gives them strength. Julia then uses a radio she found next to a dead survivor to contact NATO. He reveals that he's also been attacked by crabs and is badly injured. He shares some bad news. The ocean water is coming back much sooner than expected, and they need to reach the submarine quickly. Julia starts to cry, worried about how to find NATO without a map. To help guide them, he fires his last flare gun. Julia and Casey are relieved to see they are heading in the right direction, as the submarine is only a few kilometers away. They hurry and soon spot the submarine in the distance, but a rocky wall created by the ocean waves blocks their path. Casey asks what will happen to their mother, as there's only room for 3 in the submarine. NATO can save both of them, but what about about Julia. With the ocean water returning, she won't be able to escape. Julia insists they shouldn't worry about that now. They must first reach the submarine and decide what to do later. As they navigate the rocky path, a stone falls, separating Julia from her children. She screams for them to run to the submarine, but she can't follow. Casey and Ben, crying, leave their mother behind and head toward the submarine. They find Nato, who is seriously injured, and he tells them he might not survive. Still, he insists all three of them can go into the submarine. Hearing this, Casey rushes back to get her mother so they can escape together. Meanwhile, many crabs are attacking Julia, and she starts firing at them. Just as her ammunition runs low, Casey arrives and pulls her away from the rocks. However, the crabs are still chasing them, and they climb onto the top of the submarine. While shooting at the crabs, they notice the ocean water returning. In the final moments, all three manage to get inside the submarine. Julia reflects on how she has saved her family over the past few days. Their submarine starts drifting with the current, and they soon lose consciousness inside. Hours later, they wake up to find their submarine stuck somewhere above the water. They step outside and discover they have returned to their city, but no one is alive. It seems they are the last survivors on Earth and must navigate this destruction. With this thrilling ending, the story concludes. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. We look forward to seeing you in the next one.